BMW India launched the 4th Gen X3 in India earlier this year at the Auto Expo. Siddharth's already driven it, so what are we doing with it again?
Well, Siddharth drove the car in Germany when it made its global debut in September last year. Now it's finally in India and we can't wait to tell you more about it.
We just wanna feel like we just wanna feel.
The X3 that we get in India is not very different from the global model. We still get that Neue Klasse-like design language with this new grille that has this crisscross pattern. Looks a bit confused, doesn't it? Why don't we discuss it in the comments?
Surprisingly, the car Siddharth had in Germany was also finished in the same Tanzanite Blue as the one here. It has a nice shimmer to it in the sunlight, but in the dark, it almost looks black. You have 3 more color options to choose from, like the Dune Gray from the Auto Expo, a white and a black. BMW has gone for a minimalistic design in the cabin, but
The design of the dashboard is a bit polarizing in my opinion. This bulge here makes it look a bit odd, no?
what's odd but also unique is what BMW calls the Special Function Island, which has the door handle, AC vents and buttons for the door locks, memory seats and changing the speed of that AC vent. The curved display is there in almost every BMW, but the X3 gets the new iDrive OS 9. Can you guess which is the other BMW in India which has that? The X3 gets 2 engine choices, a petrol and a diesel. Both are 2-liter units and both get an 8-speed automatic with all-wheel drive. Both have a 48-volt mild hybrid assist. And BMW's changed the variant nomenclature with the X3 in a bid to simplify. But will it work?
While Siddharth drove the petrol, I am driving the diesel. Like all diesels, this one has good grunt too. What's also good is how it drives. The adaptive suspension has 2 modes, sport and comfort. And there's a subtle but noticeable difference between the two. In sport, the suspension feels tighter, and in comfort, as the name suggests, it feels more comfortable.
I would have liked to say that since the X3 is the latest car to join the lineup, it is the most expensive, but that's not the case. The diesel X3 that I'm driving is priced identically to the diesel Mercedes GLC, the only other car in the segment to get a diesel engine. The GLC is the most expensive if you consider the petrol engines, and surprisingly, the Audi Q5 is the cheapest. Interesting price strategy by BMW. Will the X3 attract buyers? Sure. Should they consider the new X3 over the GLC? Yes, but for those who'd prefer driving more than being driven around. The 4th Gen X3 came to India just 6 months after it made its global debut, and that speaks volumes about how important the X3 is for BMW India. And what better place to launch its global bestseller than at the Auto Expo? But Siddharth had already driven the car in Germany, so I took the opportunity to find out if it is any good in India.
The X3 in its 4th generation looks much sleeker and it is good looking. The grille looks a bit confusing, especially this crisscross pattern that it gets. BMW has used optic fiber for the LED lights that light up around these kidney grills. Interesting design choice.
Now this Tanzanite Blue you have already seen in Siddharth's review, and I just want to say what he said. It looks smashing in bright sunshine. It kinda looks better than the Dune Gray that we saw at the Auto Expo. But to be fair, that wasn't the best light for the color because it looked more like an off-white than a sandy beige that it's supposed to be. You also have a black and a white. So if you get the darker color like the blue or the black, you get this beige interior, or if you choose the Dune Gray or white, you get the brown interior. That's what in store right now, but of course, things can be changed when you go the individual route and customize your BMW. Most of the interior gets BMW's vegan leather upholstery.
The design of the dashboard is a bit polarizing, I feel. The bulge in front of the passenger feels a bit odd, and BMW has gone for a modern, minimalistic styling here. You do get the curved display which runs on BMW's iDrive OS 9, And do you know which is the other car in BMW's lineup in India that gets this?
The rear seats are fine, honestly. Ride quality back here is decent and the seats are slightly on the firmer side. It's good you can attach an iPad behind the front seats, but not much tech here to talk about, honestly. The X3 gets 8 airbags and the regular safety suite like stability control and isofix and all. What's interesting is this ADAS works really well. It's not very intrusive but still has your back in case things have a chance to go wrong. It steers itself too if lanes are marked properly, but it's not really a hands-off driving experience as you can see.
So Siddharth drove the petrol X3 in Germany and I get to drive the diesel one here. This is the engine you want in a large luxury SUV, primarily because of the good grunt and torque it offers. Well, the engine starts to become vocal from around 2000 RPM onwards, but it's not too noisy inside because the cabin is insulated well.
Unlike in India where we only have 2 engines to choose from, the global lineup has many more. Let's not get into that. Both the engines in India are 2-litre units with 48-volt mild hybrid assist and 8-speed auto and all-wheel drive. And like Siddharth said about the petrol X3, a little more power would have been nice. That's sort of true for the diesel X3 too. But hey, I'm nitpicking here. Fuel efficiency figures are borderline decent too. Could have been better? Well, BMW said a lot of its customers complain about run-flat tires and how difficult it was to maintain them. So with that feedback in mind, BMW doesn't give run-flats on the X3 anymore. What you get are standard tubeless tires which it says will be better for Indian road conditions too. That's the biggest difference between the global X3 and the Indian X3. BMW also gives the new X3 adaptive suspension which alters the ride quality depending on which mode you're in.
With the run-flat tires gone and with the adaptive suspension, the ride quality is good. It's a BMW, so obviously this handling is sporty. The adaptive suspension gets 2 modes, Sport and Comfort, and the driving characteristics change as per the setting. Now in Sport mode, the suspension becomes stiffer, so the ride becomes slightly tauter, and in Comfort, the ride is more supple. But in both modes, the suspension does a really good job of handling the bumps. But if you want to know more about how the car handles and how the petrol one drives, click the link below to watch Siddharth's review.
Even though the X3 is the latest car in the segment, it's still not the most expensive. The Audi Q5 is the cheapest and the oldest, with the new gen right around the corner. The Volvo XC62 is getting a new version, but that's just Volvo giving out free facelift to all its ICE cars. So the real rival to the X3 is the Mercedes-Benz GLC, as it has always been, isn't it? And while the GLC's petrol variant is ₹1,00,000 more than the X3's, both the diesels are priced identically. So then that begs the question, the GLC or the X3? The Merc has always been the car that's better if you're in the back seat, but that kinda changed with the latest generation being a better driver than before. Not to forget that it comes absolutely packed to the brim with features. But the BMW still remains the more fun car to drive, and it's not as feature loaded. The fight between these two will still be a close one.